Hello, everybody. This is Parrish Alford with the Daily Journal. You have tuned in to our Daily Journal Sports Chat, and we appreciate that. We're glad you're here. I'm joined by Logan Lowry, our MSU beat writer. John Pitts, Daily Journal Sports Editor, has had some technical issues. We'll get those squared away and get him back another time. But we're going to talk about the Rebels and Bulldogs getting together tonight down in Starkville. It's a Logan Lowry home game. Logan, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing good, Parrish. It feels like a while since I've seen you. I guess the last time was up there in Oxford the last two times these two teams met.
Well, you know what, Logan, as I've mentioned to you before, you changed my life when you came to the Daily Journal, because with an MSU writer who lives in Starkville, I have done a whole lot more work at home since I don't have anyone to plan with when I go into the office. So it's different for both of us, but it does mean that we don't see each other a whole lot.
Right, and our workloads are kind of about the same, and we kind of have to bounce things off of each other, kind of have to make sure we're not showing one school more favoritism than the other. So we're doing the same type of work, but we don't actually work together just a whole lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, through the magic and wonder of text and Google Hangouts such as this, we're able to do a lot of things. Now, while we don't see each other a lot, MSU and Ole Miss don't see each other a lot either. But when they do, it's been really hard for the Rebels in Humphrey Coliseum. I know that was a talking point for them this week. I count the record, Logan, as 7-32 since Humphrey opened in December of '75. Their first meeting would have been in that winter of 1976. I've got Ole Miss at 7-32 in the building. I know the series in Starkville is much more weighted to State, obviously, but Humphrey Coliseum has been a place that the Rebels have really had some difficulty winning. Sometimes they've played well and lost. Sometimes they haven't played well. Sometimes State's been the decidedly better team. That hasn't been the case the last couple of seasons. What's the feel for this game for State in Humphrey Coliseum? I know their crowds haven't been what they would like this year. Is there some energy in just getting the rivals down there in the building?
I really don't know, because a couple of weeks ago, after Mississippi State beat LSU at home and then they went on the road to Tennessee and won, you would think there would have been some momentum start to build a little bit for this team. And they lost to Arkansas and had a pretty horrible display in that first half. They came back home last week, played Alabama on Tuesday, and the crowd was awful. I mean, it was probably 1,500 people in the Hump, and it just looked like a wasteland. So I really don't know, even if, as big as the rivalry is with Mississippi State's fan base, I really don't know if that's enough to draw them in tonight, especially with you throw in the weather concerns and the fact that the game's on national TV. I really don't know how the crowd's going to be tonight. I guess we'll just have to wait. It's an 8 p.m. tip. It's tough for a lot of people to make it from out of town for that game, and drive back that late at night. So I'm really just not expecting just a huge crowd tonight.
Well, I went back and looked, Logan, at the 2013 season. I mean, that was the year that State wasn't as good as they look like they've been here lately. Ole Miss was in a similar situation, on the bubble and trying to play its way into the NCAA tournament. The Rebels go there as favorites. They lose by 6. Andy Kennedy was answering questions about his job status after the game. But in that game, it looked like, going back and looking at the numbers, State announced an attendance of 8,000 for that game. And just looking at other SEC games that season, there were announced attendance figures of like 6,000 a game. Maybe. I mean, so there's a history, a little bit, I guess, of State fans just getting excited and turning out for this game. But 1,500 for Alabama. What was the announced figure for that game? Logan Lowry, looks like you have left the building. Are you there?
I am back. Apparently my internet keeps going in and out, but I'm back now, Ferris.
Internet issues, infrastructure's not handling the cold down there in Starkville. Maybe mine will start going out.
It's not. I hope this little chat between us isn't sponsored by Max South, the new MetroCast provider here in Starkville, because they're not doing too well.
Hey, the question before you drifted away was when Ole Miss lost this game at Humphrey Coliseum 2 years ago. A lot of similarities here. The Rebels were on the bubble, trying to play their way into the NCAA tournament. State's home crowds had not been very good that year. I don't think that team, that MSU team, was as good as the one that I see right now. But I went back and looked at figures, Logan, and it looked like State was averaging or was announcing at least about 6,000 fans in the SEC home games leading up to that Ole Miss game, and they drew an announced crowd of 8,000. Now, you said there were about 1,500 for the Alabama game. What was the announced crowd there?
I don't even remember. Probably 4 to 6, somewhere in there. I don't even remember. But I do know, that 2013 game, there were probably 8,000 people in the Hump. They made a really concerted effort. Rick Ray went out and spoke to a lot of the fraternities and sororities, trying to just draw the students out for that game, and it really helped. Mississippi State was playing with 7 scholarship players in that game. And just really shouldn't have even been on the floor with Ole Miss at that time, but they found a way. They fed off that crowd, and were able to win that game. And they would be a similar type performance this year. Mississippi State, on paper shouldn't win this game, but like I said, they're a better team than they were in 2013. They have more bodies. There are a lot of young bodies in there, but we saw a couple of weeks ago up there in Oxford that Mississippi State can play with Ole Miss when things are clicking.
Well, and that's one game among several, Logan, that it looks like State has been competitive and has had chances to win. I mean, they've won some games. You saw them win at Tennessee and Missouri and other places. LSU, a big win against LSU in Starkville. So, I mean, that's a very talented team that has gone to Starkville and not come away with a win. But what is the beat among the players right now? Are they confident, or are they, do they feel like they have an advantage at home?
Well, I talked to a couple of them this week. They made Fred Thomas and Gavin Ware available to us earlier this week, and a lot of the conversations were about the plane situation over the weekend. But the other part of the conversation was about playing Ole Miss and the rivalry aspect of it. And those two guys are from Mississippi. Fred Thomas is from Jackson. Gavin Ware's from right here in Starkville. And they talked about not having to get up for this rivalry. Gavin Ware mentioned, if you can't get up for this rivalry, you probably need to get your heart checked. And there's 4 Mississippians on this roster. 3 of them will play in this game tonight. So it should be, emotional game for Mississippi State, but emotions don't make baskets a lot of times, so we'll have to see how many baskets fall, and that's kind of been the Achilles heel for Mississippi State, making shots and taking care of the basketball.
Well, that certainly was not the Achilles heel when these teams played in Oxford a few weeks ago. State shot almost 56% in that game, 55-6. Some of those shots were contested, others were not. A lot is always made in this series about, the Ole Miss players say that State really makes more out of this series than they do. I don't know that that's a good thing or not, but I know Ole Miss was flat in that game for much of the game. I know that I.J. Reddy, before the first meeting, was quoted as saying that it's a life-or-death game when you play Ole Miss. A lot of people poked fun at his comments there. But it does really sound like this game, just from the pure rivalry perspective, means more to the Mississippi State kids than the Ole Miss guys. And the Ole Miss players will tell you the game is important because it's the next one on the schedule. And right now, the game is extremely important because the Rebels had won 6 straight before they narrowly missed a 7th straight win at home Saturday night against Arkansas. They let a huge RPI opportunity get away. Could have had a sweep of the Razorbacks, a top 25 RPI team. Now they're trying to bounce back from a loss for the first time in a while, and they're doing it in a place that's been difficult for them to win. A lot of these kids don't know that history. Some of them do. Their coaches certainly know the history. But, Humphrey Coliseum aside, Mississippi State a few weeks ago in Oxford shot almost 56%, as I mentioned, and was also +3 on the glass. The only thing they didn't do in that game was get to the free throw line. That was something that Rick Ray talked about at length right after the game. Ole Miss was 27 for 39. 39 free throw attempts in that game, and that's a big part of what the Rebels do. They want to get to the line. They're a good free throw shooting team, almost 80% on the season, have led the nation in free throw shooting much of this season. But, Logan, I don't think as the visiting team you're going to get to the free throw line 39 times. In fact, in that 2013 game, it was quite the reverse. It was State getting to the free throw line. I think Craig Sword was like something like 15 of 18 from the line. Well, folks, it looks like MetroCast has dropped the ball again down in Starkville, and we'll see if Logan is going to rejoin us. It's a whole lot of build-up for that question. I hope he can come back and answer it. Let's see if we got something on text here. Not yet. All right, folks, we've got a message from Logan Lowry that says it looks like the internet has gone out completely this time. So in order to keep you from having to stay here and just listen to me for the next 20 minutes, we're going to chalk this one up to a lost cause due to technical difficulties. Maybe it has something to do with the cold. Maybe I should stop talking before my own internet goes out. But we'll try this again soon. Be sure to come back and join us.